everybody. Welcome to another episode of Two Strike Noise, your weekly baseball history podcast. My name is Jeff. I'm one half of the show. The other half is right there across from me. We're totally in the same place as usual. It is Mark A. Johnston. Mark, is the temperature in the studio okay for you today?
It's a little warm,
yeah.
But I think what people don't know is that there's actually a huge brick wall between us. We're in the same room, but Jeff is still quite frightened of COVID, so we've got a brick wall.
I'm just stay away from you. That's really it.
Well, whatever excuse you give me for the week.
The COVID one was from like 4 years ago. There's been a lot more.
Well, that's been bothering me that you're still bothered by it. But now that I know it's just my personality, now I get it.
Trying not to hurt your feelings. But we can talk about baseball and then we all get along. What do you say about that?
That's true, too. Yes, let's do that.
Yeah. Show number 251. Show 250 was so big we had to take a holiday week in between 50 and 51. But we're back.
I was exhausted from show 250.
I know, right? And apparently we missed the whole theme behind the wax pack that was donated to us virtually.
Yeah, both of us didn't even.
I'm staring at all the card numbers, and I did not realize that they were all numbered 250. But yeah. I'm still cheesed off. Nolan Ryan was in there, and you know
it was too obvious for our deep thinking.
Yeah, we went way deeper than that. But we got a lot of other baseball stuff to talk about this week in show 251 on our march to 500. This is like show number 1. This is the first show. Got a ways to go. But let's get into our BP segment before we get too deep into stuff here. Well, first of all, let's talk about this. It's been all over the news. Angel Hernandez.
Yes.
R.I.P. Pour out some of your club soda or whatever you have that is tasteless and calorie free. And Angel Hernandez has hung him up.
I honestly thought you were going to start the show with Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead.
No, why bury the guy? I mean, he's already. Well, I don't know. I want to know, does he know how bad he was?
I don't know. He had a couple of lawsuits out. I don't know if they were admitting he was bad but still deserved a job, or if he was just saying, I'm not that bad.
I mean, he's got to go back and look at videos and umpire report cards and be like, what? I called that a strike? But I don't know.
You would think at some point he would go, man, everybody tells me I'm horrible. Maybe I am.
Yeah. So did you see this also? Another umpire, Paul Emmel, also retired the day after.
I didn't know that. He let Angel have his thunder.
Well, he's like, oh, everyone's talking about Angel. I can go now and nobody will notice. They thought, but they didn't know we would. So it seems to me that it's obvious that MLB is just firing all the umps so that the robo-umps will have spots already slotted to use, right?
Well, we've discussed the conspiracy theory that the umpires are making bad calls in order to get people to want the robo-umps.
So that's why MLB's paying Angel Hernandez so much then, I guess. He did a great job. They gave him a good watch for his service.
Oh, he sold it. He sold it well.
So I found while I was looking up Angel Hernandez and Paul Emmel, I found a Facebook group of umpire fans.
Okay.
I mean, they on this announcement for Paul Emmel, it was nothing but glowing remarks. Do you think that there's a Facebook group where people stan owners too?
Oh, boy, I hope not.
I'm all about liking what you like, but standing umpires is a very unique and very niche lifestyle choice. And, you know, go for it as long as I don't have to hear about it. It's weird, though. I've never seen people fawn over major league umpires like they were in this Facebook group.
Too bad nobody does that for baseball history podcasters.
So, Mark, I don't know. I always thought this was kind of a Utah thing. I grew up in Utah where, as opposed to when you're in junior high and high school, if you want to go to a dance, you just go and ask the girl that you want to go with or the guy, you know, whatever, and say, hey, you want to go to this dance? And inevitably they turned me down. But apparently, well, in Utah, what we would do, as opposed to having to do that face to face, you would do some stupid thing, leave them on their doorstep or something and run away. Like I put a pound of sugar on some girl's doorstep and a small note hidden in between that said, it would sure be sweet if you would go to homecoming with me. You know, that kind of.
Sort of a Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, it's just
a cake.
Well, yeah, Napoleon Dynamite. If you grew up in Utah, I mean, that rings very true. But apparently this is a thing elsewhere, and I guess it's spread around the country. And one guy, all he did was got one of the best players in baseball to go to this girl's house with him and ask her to go to prom Bryce Harper. It's like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. In Philadelphia. So this guy, Jake Portobello, which, no, I guess it's Portello, not Portobello. I guess I'm hungry. I was going to say that's going to be it's going to be an odd last name if you marry into the Portobello clan, but it's Jake Portello. He's a senior at Haddonfield Memorial High School in Philadelphia. Somehow he got Bryce Harper's address and just went and knocked on his door. Bryce Harper opens the door. I find this much more incredible than him going and asking this girl for this guy, that you just find the address of Bryce Harper. You go knock on his door. And according to Jake here, he said, hey, can I get you to help me ask this girl to go to prom? And Bryce Harper's like, can I get your email and we can plan this out? Which I would have thought would just be like, give me your email and I'll get right back to you. And
right.
Lose
and by
my
the way,
address.
don't stop by anymore.
Yeah. Nope. He emailed this guy and went to this girl's house, Julia, with a G. I think she's Italian, but said, yeah, hey, you want to go to prom with my boy here? And she said yes, and then hugged Bryce Harper.
Was he in full uniform?
No, he's like in sweats.
Sweet.
I'm just so shocked by this, that a Major League Baseball star would let somebody just come to their doorstep and then say, yeah, I'll do that. Props to Bryce Harper.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I wouldn't, even as a, minor podcast announcer sort of interviewer guy, I don't think I would have said yes. I think my answer would have been more like, why are you on my doorstep?
Well, I'm going to put it out there. If anybody wants us to, or me specifically, to ask somebody to prom for you, I'm open. I'm down.
Maybe we should have a cameo.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Charge like a quarter.
I'm sure that would do well. Let's see here. Some other things that I found this week. Purely, this was a random old article. I mean, this was from the early 2000s or something, but it must be discussed. It was by Tim Kirkjian, just kind of random thoughts from Tim Kirkjian. And he says that he and Curt Schilling were on the Baseball Tonight set one time, and they were discussing who was the best ever second baseman. Kirkjian said that Rogers Hornsby, the Raja, with a lifetime average of 358, he's got to be the greatest second baseman ever, which if you're just doing it on average, okay, whatever, Tim. But Curt Schilling, though, disagreed. And he argued that Mark Lemke was better than Rogers Hornsby.
Wow.
Dead serious, apparently, too. How many arguments about who is the best second baseman of all time would have to happen, do you think, before somebody would even bring up Mark Lemke's name?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything Mark Lemke is better at,
avoiding being hit by a pitch?
Than Raja. Yeah, there's that. Maybe he was better at crossword puzzles.
I don't know, but I mean, Mark Lemke, 11 years in the big leagues, 3,664 plate appearances, 0 hit by pitch.
It almost makes you wonder if he was more of like a ghostly spirit.
Yeah, it's just fast through him. We go to Rogers Hornsby, and let's see, over 23 years, he had 9,481 plate appearances and was hit 48 times.
It seems more sane.
Yeah, well, I mean, usually the higher the number, the better, right? So he got on base more than Mark Lemke.
Yeah.
Let's see, he's a Hall of Famer, 2-time MVP award winner, 2-time Triple Crown winner.
Mm-hmm. Lemke got close once, but it wasn't the Triple Crown we think of.
No, and, they've both won one World Series. Of course, Roger Hornsby had 7 batting titles, and his baseball reference page is just littered with black ink. But sure, Curt Schilling, because nothing you ever do is crazy or stupid.
Mark Lemke.
Lemke.
I don't know. He made me my top 500 second baseman.
Did you know that Rogers Hornsby was at one point traded for Sox Seibold?
No.
Show favorites, as well as Frankie Frisch at one point.
Okay, that makes a little more sense.
Well, I don't know how that makes more sense than Sox, but okay. Let's see here. Carlos Correa had an idea. Correa's with the Twins now, isn't he? He had an idea about the bad umpiring. We talked about this earlier. I should have tied this together a little bit sooner, but he said, what if we give the umpires pitch comms so they know what's coming? Will that make them better?
Interesting. That way they're looking to see if the slider is a backdoor slider.
Yeah, so they're not fooled by a pitch. But my immediate thought was, okay, well, teams are going to start looking at umpires to tip pitches then.
Sure, yeah.
So
we don't worry so much about throwing games anymore because players make ridiculous amounts of money. But, I mean, you toss an umpire $1 million, he may tip a pitch or two.
Or interpreters. You got to keep an eye on interpreters too.
Yeah, they're sneaky, gambling little guys.
Yeah. So the crowd in Cleveland, when they were talking about this, they were playing the Twins and they were taunting Correa with cheater chants. And I thought, are we still doing that? Like, I'm not sticking up for the Astros by any means, but I thought it had kind of run its course. Then the Astros, I was watching, they were in Seattle, and Altuve and Bregman heard it the whole series.
Oh, yeah. No, they let them have it up
Yeah.
here.
And then they came to Oakland right after that, and they heard it here, too. And I'm like, I guess that's still a thing. I'd kind of moved on. But I guess that's just me.
Yourself apart as a villain, I guess. You just get, unless you're in professional wrestling and can somehow turn into a face. Which I can't think of a way for Altuve to do that except for, maybe when they're playing against the Yankees, he decides to go over to the Yankees
a chair shot to the back of Aaron
he
Judge.
takes out the umpire before he can call someone out. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. Hey, let's keep it up. Good job, guys. Big Boss. We haven't talked about Big Boss for quite a while now.
Oh, Big Boss. What a legend.
Yeah. So the Ham Fighters.
Yes.
See how many direct messages we get there.
We get, yeah.
Ham Fighters are actually really good this year. So the last 2 years, they've not been good at all. This year, let's see, the Ham Fighters are, at the time of this recording, which is a little bit early for than when we're going to release this, are 25-18, tied for second place with the Marines. The Soft Bank Hawks. The Soft
speaking.
So the Soft Bank Hawks are 30-13. They're clearly the best team in the NPB this year. They're 30-13, and then the 225 and whatever teams in the Central League. Nobody's doing much. The Carp and the Tigers are kind of going back and forth at the top, but good for the Ham Fighters. Big Boss.
Yeah.
I was really worried he was going to be fired after that first season. They were bad, real bad.
Yeah. Well, it's just, it all goes back to, if you haven't been listening to the show that long, it all goes back to the idea of thinking about people brawling with pressed pork products. It's just amusing.
I always just imagine they're fighting over which ham is better, like what ham brand or.
That makes more sense. I don't like sensical
honey
stuff.
Baked ham. Is that like they get mad at that? I don't know.
Spiral ham. You got the glazed.
Yeah, I don't like
honey glazed.
I don't like
honey
ham, so I'll let you guys fight it out.
I don't like the pressed stuff as much, but I still don't mind the pressed stuff.
Okay, we need to move on because otherwise we're going to get listed on ham podcasts.
I would like to be on a list of great ham podcasts. So there can't be that many. We got a shot at top 5.
You'd probably be surprised. Let's see. So we are recording this show on, Wednesday. And I have got some whiskey arriving at some point today. It is not here yet. I ordered a couple of bottles of that Field of Dream whiskey that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. It sold out quick, but I've got 2 bottles coming today. So this is what is called a cliffhanger. This is how to get you to tune in next week. Well, I don't have the bottles obviously yet, so I can't tell you who my 2 players are. But next week, we'll reveal who they are, and I will give you a whiskey review. How about that?
Nice. Yes, it'll get us back in the good graces of the whiskey podcast.
Yeah, get back on that list.
Yeah, and we can even tell him, we've been calling him the 5th Beatle, but Mitch, we've decided he's now the 3rd strike.
Yes.
We can tell you who the 3rd strike landed as well. Who got the better player?
Well, if he ever gets his. Mine's arriving today, and his hasn't shipped yet.
Well, it's interesting because he's obviously a big baseball fan, but I don't know if he's even ever tasted whiskey.
Well, and he's not a VIP either,
well,
so he didn't get it right away.
There's that.
Yeah.
You're just used to having tables set aside for you, and that's just the way it is.
Let's see here. This show is debuting on May 31st, where we're 2 months into the season already. Unbelievable.
Yeah, wow.
We've got some debuts today. First of all, making his debut today is pitcher Mike Marshall. Not like the utility infielder guy that all his baseball cards had the huge comical glove that he would carry around.
Right.
I think that was the other Mike Marshall, right? He's on the 88 Dodgers team, that Mike Marshall. This Mike Marshall, pitcher, probably best known for his time with the Expos, nicknamed Iron Mike. Good for him. Made his debut today. Also, I thought this was very interesting, passed away today in 2021.
Oh, wow.
So he died on the anniversary of his big league debut. Let's see, won a Cy Young Award. That was in 1974. That was with the Dodgers. There you go. Let's see, he appeared in 106 games as a pitcher.
Wow.
106 games. Led the league in saves with 21, but 106 games, finished 83 games. Wow. Look at, he led the league in games for 3 years in a row. From 72 through 74, 65 games in 72. Okay, that's manageable. In 1973, 92 games. Okay, that's a bit much. And then in 74, 106 games. And then his arm fell off and he was injured for a couple of years until 1979 when he once again led the league in games finished, and saves with 90 games appeared in, 84 games finished, and 32 saves. Wow. That is, in his 14-year career, an overall record of 97-112. Let's see, a lifetime ERA of 3.14, 188 career saves, and innings pitched 1,386 and 2/3 innings in 14 years. Wow. So that's probably an average of like 80 innings per year.
Yeah, let's see. 724 games he played in, and 24 were starts. So this is a man who threw often.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So there you go, Iron Mike. Also making his debut today, you'll like this, in 1988, Todd Burns.
Hey, yes, Burnsy.
Todd Burns, I think he came up with the A's first, right? Let's see here.
He did, yes.
Oakland. 6 years in the big leagues, 4 with Oakland, and then 2 with Texas, 1 with St. Louis. No black ink, but he was a member of the 1989 World Series team, so he's one of my favorite players. There you go. Todd Burns. Also, I believe
he had some really good years too.
Also, I believe owns a baseball clinic in Alabama or Arkansas, somewhere like that. Also played in the CPBL for the Unipresident Lions in 1995. 4 games, right about on par there. And our final debut today in 1989. The next year, it was Deion Sanders made his debut.
Ooh, prime time. Very nice.
I think a lot of the luster of Deion Sanders has been removed from this past year, at least for me. I don't know.
It depends on who you are. I've always been a primetime fan. So.
I was a fan of him as a baseball player, certainly. As a football player when he was on the 49ers, because that's the only team I pay attention to. But the way that he has handled his success going into Colorado and lack of at Colorado, and the way he treats players as just, chess pieces, I am not a big fan anymore. Not going to lie. But led the league in triples in 1992 with Atlanta, and in 94 led the league in caught stealing.
Nice.
With 16. Overall, let's see, a 319 on base percentage for his 9 years in the big leagues. That's not great for somebody that's got wheels like that. Let's see, one more thing I wanted to mention today that took place on May 31st. Final game played in their career. 1991, Ken Griffey Sr. played in his final game today. And then in 2010, Ken Griffey Jr. played in his final game today.
Wow.
That had to be planned, right?
You would think.
I remember, I was in Seattle working with you when this happened. Yeah. I think, didn't Griffey just get in his car and start driving from Seattle to Florida and called?
I can't remember. I just remember we were like, Griffey left?
Yeah. We were at the stadium when we found out. I remember. And I think he just took off and he called, I don't remember who the GM was. It was Jack Z.
Zaridnik, yeah.
Zaridnik, yeah. I think he just called him from his car and said, yeah, I'm done. I'm almost to the Idaho border right now, and I'm done.
I'm going to go check out the St. Louis Arch. And on my way, I thought I'd let you know that I'm done.
I didn't know that they'd retired on the same day. That had to have been a thing that he had planned.
Yeah, that's interesting.
All right, so that's going to do it for our BP segment today. Let's talk about some Negro League stuff. We've done that before here. We're going to do it some more. Two big things that have been in the news regarding the Negro Leagues recently, one of which is a statistical thing, which just happened. We're recording this on Wednesday, which is when this went into effect. The Negro League stats were officially recognized by Major League Baseball like a year ago. I think it was at the beginning of the season last year. Everyone was excited about it, said long overdue, good job. MLB said, wow, we got so much good press from that. Let's go ahead and let's integrate the Negro League stats into the Major League stat database. So now, since MLB has done this, that changes a lot of single season as well as career top 5, top 10 charts. Foremost on this is the white Josh Gibson's black counterpart. Now officially holds, that means Josh Gibson, by the way.
Yes.
Just, I wrote that out and I was like,
confused
does that make sense? So Josh Gibson now officially holds the record in multiple categories of MLB stats, like the single season batting average, single season slugging percentage, single season. The career batting average leader is no longer Tyrus Raymond Cobb. It is now Josh Gibson. He now has the highest career slugging and OPS percentage as well.
Okay, go on.
Gibson's .466 average for the 1943 Homestead Grays is now the new single-season record, followed by Charlie Chino Smith's .451 for the 1929 New York Lincoln Giants. They overtook the .440 by Hugh Duffy, who played for Boston in 1894. 1894, by the way, only the second season that the pitching rubber was moved from 50 feet back to 60 feet 6 inches. Mounds were also allowed for pitchers at this point, but there was no limit to the size of said mound. So it could really been up there high. Also, this is only the second season that it was mandated that bats had to be round. So you could have had flat bats before that, which would have, I got to imagine that's got to hurt if you make solid contact with a flat bat. I just find something kind of, though, insincere that the league is making moves to make these greats like Josh Gibson record holders for a league that they were never allowed to play in. And that was the league's decision not to let them play in it. Pardon the phrase, but this kind of seems like whitewashing.
That's one way to put it. Okay. Well, you've put a little more thought into it than I have. I see.
It's kind of like saying next year we're going to count all the stats from the history of the NPB and integrate that with MLB stats. Pete Rose, you are no longer the hits leader at 42.56. Ichiro is now the king with a total of 4,367 over his 28 years playing professionally. I don't know. Maybe MLB would rather have Ichiro to prop up than Pete Rose. I saw somebody say on social media that this was like brushing away how different the conditions in the Negro Leagues were and making it look like baseball was separate but equal when it clearly was not the case. And I think that's a great statement. I see where they're coming from. Because unfortunately, most of these huge stars from both leagues never got the chance to go face to face in their primes. Just knowing about this for a short period of time and having thought about it, again, not a whole lot, I'm not sure I'm a fan of this move. I think it might hurt the impact of their numbers because you're going to have certain types. We'll just put it that way, that will harp on the fact that the Negro League numbers are so small compared to the guys with 20 years of Major League numbers. And that's fine if that group doesn't want to understand how many games these guys played that just simply were not recorded. These guys were playing 2 or 3 games a day in some instances. The travel was rough. They weren't allowed to stay in some of the cities that they played in. I mean, I personally feel like this might be ammunition for people to poo-poo those numbers, not give them the respect that they deserve. Again, just my initial thoughts here. I'm not sure that this is the best thing, and I'm sure MLB will have all their water carriers out there telling everybody how great this is. And, great. Let's get people to know who Josh Gibson is that might not have known him before. I'll give it some more thought, but some more actual numbers that are now going to be updated. Josh Gibson's .974 slugging percentage in 1937, that becomes the single season record. That bumps the old leader, Barry Bonds, who in 2001 ended up with an .863 slugging percentage. That bumps him from number one all the way down to fifth.
Well, see, that in itself kind of makes me happy.
Your boy Mule Suttles, .877.
That's my guy.
In 1926, also usurping Bonds. Bonds' prior OPS record of 1.421 from 2004 drops to third behind two Josh Gibson seasons. 1.474 in 1937 and then 1.435 in 1943. Willie Mays gains 10 hits from his time with the Birmingham Black Barons in 1948. That increases his total to 3,293. Minnie Minoso is now credited with an extra 150 hits from the New York Cubans from 1946 to 1948. That boasts his total to over 2,000 now, 2,113. And Jackie Robinson is now credited with 49 additional hits from the time he spent with the Kansas City Monarchs in 1945. And that increases his total to 1,567. And how about some pitchers? Well, a pitcher. Satchel Paige gets 28 additional wins, raising his total to 125. All right, let's turn to something a little bit more positive in my mind, because again, I'm still processing. I'm not a huge fan of this, but I'm willing to listen. Okay, let's talk about something that's a little bit more uplifting when it comes to the Negro Leagues. Last week in Cooperstown, the Hall of Fame East-West Classic took place. They played this at Doubleday Field. When are we going to get? When are we going to get around to changing the name of that field?
Yeah, it's pretty embedded now.
I mean, we could even make it a Comiskey Park. Just somebody that did something for baseball, anything, which is more than can be said for
Cartwright, something.
Yeah. So what this is the Negro League's East-West All-Star Game debuted in 1933. It was played at Chicago's Comiskey Park and played annually through 1962. Several years there were multiple All-Star games that were played.
Yes.
And they packed that place. I would love to be at one of those games. For this game, 30 former players were there, 14 Hall of Famers, and 2 former Negro League players, Sam Allen and Pedro Sierra, were there as well. Monet Davis. Do you remember Monet Davis?
Boy, I tell you what, it sounds familiar, but I'm drawing a blank.
She pitched in the Little League World Series, 10 years ago.
Her. Okay.
Just dominated. I think there was something illegal going on with the team that she played for, but it doesn't matter. I mean, she just absolutely dominated. She played in this game. She arrived late, though, on Friday night, missed some of the festivities because she is now taking graduate classes at Columbia University. Edwin Jackson started for one of the teams. I'm guessing that's just so he could add another team to his list of teams he's played for.
Yes.
Speaking of the teams that were represented there, everybody, I think you kind of pick whatever jersey you wanted to wear. There were people wearing jerseys from the American Giants, the Baltimore Elite Giants, the Birmingham Barons, the Detroit Stars, the Homestead Grays, the Indianapolis Clowns, the Kansas City Monarchs, the Newark Eagles, and my favorite Pittsburgh Crawfords. All the players were wearing this. They were all wearing real stirrups as well. I'll just let that be known.
As it should be.
Yes. Nico Smith sang the national anthem and Lift Every Voice and Sing. We know all about Nico Smith from Waxbacks Heroes.
That's right.
Son of Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith and top 10 finalist on season 4 of American Idol.
That's right.
There you go. The Hall of Fame site frustrated me, though. I was reading the article about this, and it kept referring to Hank Aaron, which is weird since Henry Aaron specifically said he prefers to be called Henry. And I judge people who call him Hank Aaron. Yeah. I gatekeep Henry Aaron's name.
You judgmental person.
I truly am. The Souls of the Game Voices of Black Baseball exhibit is new, and this opened in part of the Hall of Fame's Black Baseball Initiative, which again is, a separate area. I think they could work on Yeah, that includes additional outreach programs. There's educational stuff, virtual programming, and this is all made possible by, this is the most ironic thing, the Yawkey Foundation. Yawkey's, of course, longtime owner of the Red Sox, who were, of course, the last team in Major League Baseball to integrate. And the Yawkey family was known to be very racist.
Sometimes you got to turn things around, even if it's really late.
They're sweating even a little bit more down there, I guess. I did not see this game. I think they replayed it on the Baseball Network, and if that's the case, I'm sure it'll be on many more times, but I want to watch this. CC Sabathia was there. Curtis Granderson, I think, hit a home run. Robinson Cano was there. There were a lot of, more recent players as well as some older guys that were there. So I want to see that. That's going to do it for our second segment here today. Let's head into our final segment, which is and probably will always remain. It's time for Wax Pack Hero. Wax Pack Hero! Gonna pull a Wax Pack Hero! Stars in his eyes. Hero! On the podcast tonight. All right, if you're new here, Wax Pack's Heroes, what we're going to do, we're going to open up some old baseball cards. As the name would kind of clue you in, it's going to be from the Wax Pack era, a little bit later this week. But we're going to open those. We are going to each get some cards. We're going to go head to head, take the Baseball Reference War of the year of the cards that we are looking at, which in this case is 2003 tops. So not quite Wax Packs, but you get the gist of where we're going with this. Whoever has the highest WAR in that season is going to win that round. First 1 to 5 will win the game. Looking at the scoreboard right now, Mark, in this season, my championship season, our numbers on our jerseys have gold outlines all around them. You are up 3-1 early in the season. We're late starters here, but a couple of things that can add to that Baseball Reference WAR on the card or elsewhere. Any 80s baseball aesthetics. I'm not even writing these down because we kind of vote on some of them as we see them. But we're talking about things like real stirrups, science teacher glasses, big bushy mustaches, eye black, flip down sunglasses, Brady Anderson sideburns, anything like that, you can get extra 1/10 of a point. But if you're wearing the 2-in-1 stirrups that we can see, we don't like that, so that's a -1/10 of a point. If the player won any awards in this year, that means things like Rookie of the Year, Cy Young, MVP. If they were an All-Star or won a Gold Glove, you get a 1/2 point each for that. If there's a Hall of Famer on the card, whether they're in focus or not, that's a whole extra point. If Ricky Henderson shows up at any point for whoever, I automatically win that round. If Nolan Ryan shows up, Mark automatically wins that round. So you can see why I would have been cheesed off last week had we gotten to that Nolan Ryan card. Also, any pop culture references that we could easily find, that is a 1/2 point, unless that pop culture reference says Seinfeld, The Simpsons, or Sabrina the Teenage Witch. You get a whole point for that. And if you were suspended during your career or mentioned in the Mitchell report, that's a -1/2 point because you don't want to do that. So, Mark, let's see here. As I said, I've got the 2003 tops. We're kind of finishing up this pack from a couple of weeks ago. So I have sealed it hermetically here so that as nobody can cheat. And
I always wondered how you do that.
Yeah.
How did you learn to hermetically seal?
Well, I got a food saver. And
I thought you needed like a hermit. I didn't know.
All right. We're just going to take these right off the top of this pack, Mark. So I'm going to let you decide first. Do you want the first or second card in this case?
I'm going to go with the second.
Second. All right. So I'm going to have you go first because I'm the champ. Well, I think this can probably swing in your favor because your card is none other. This is like a refractor card or something. It's silver and shiny, and it's one of my guys from Oakland. It's Miguel Tejada.
I was always a big Tejada fan myself.
I was too. He should have been MVP before he was named MVP in 2002. Lucky for us, though, 2003 is the year, well, at least lucky for me, 2003 is the year we're looking at here. He played in 162 games that year.
He did that a lot.
Yeah, that was his third season in a row where he played in every game. And the 3 seasons following, he also played in 162. Let's see, in 2003, in those 162 games, he hit 278, 336 on base, 27 home runs, 106 RBIs, 10 stolen bases, no caught stealing. Very nice. 111 OPS plus, not an all-star. Coming off an MVP season, not an all-star. Let's see. Overall, that is a WAR of 4.9. There is really nothing on this card that's going to help you because they basically photoshopped out everything but him. Can't see his shoes. I'm sure he was not wearing real stirrups, but let's see, a 4.9. He won no awards this year. He did receive MVP votes, but no awards won. Well, we know we're going to get the Mitchell report here, right? So that's going to be a minus half a point right there. He pled guilty to 1 count of perjury for lying to Congress. So, if the Mitchell report gets you a minus half a point, what does perjury to Congress get you? Let's see here.
He was awesome, all around awesome.
Let's see. He claims that the only thing he ever gave Rafael Palmeiro was vitamin B12. Then he also admitted to lying and was mentioned in both of Jose Canseco's books. So
also, do you remember when he always had gone by saying he was born in 76?
Oh, yeah. Boy, remember when that was a big thing? I remember Rafael Furcal was actually a couple of years older than he said he was.
Yeah. How about that? He has a chicken farm in Florida.
Well, I mean, who doesn't? But good for him.
Yeah.
Childhood friends with Mario Encarnacion, and when Encarnacion died in 2005, Tejada paid for his body to be transported back to the DR and a headstone at the cemetery. Good for you.
That's cool.
Then he filed for bankruptcy 10 years later. I don't think the two are related.
It was an expensive headstone.
All right, let's get back to Wax Facts Heroes here. You got Miguel Tejada. Overall, you're at a 4.4. And let's see, I am rocking shortstop here with the Chicago Cubs. It is Alex Gonzalez.
Oh, I remember that guy.
I do too. I don't think he's going to be Miguel Tejada, but let's see what we get here. All right, there were 2 Alex Gonzalez playing at the same time in the late 90s, early 2000s. This one played for 13 years in the big leagues, 8 with Toronto, 3 with the Cubs, and then the Rays, Padres, Expos, and Phillies. In 2003, he appeared in 152 games, hit 228, 295 on base, 20 home runs, 59 RBI, and an 81 S plus, and altogether that is a WAR of 1.2. Nothing on this card is going to help me out. Let's see. After wrapping up his playing career, he attended University of Phoenix, obtained a degree in business management, and now is a sports agent. So that's pretty cool. Gonzalez appeared as himself in an episode of Ken Finkelman's satirical CBC comedy, The Newsroom.
CBC?
That would be the Canadian Broadcasting Company.
Oh, sorry, Canadians.
But that gets me points, but it's still not going to be enough. So
even Canadian television gets you points? Oh, there I go again with my Canadian anti-Canadian bias. Wow. I apologize.
Good thing we're not available in Canada. All right. Let's see. Next here, do you want the first card or the second card, sir?
Oh, I have to keep choosing? I thought it was just going to be a second for the whole thing.
Okay. Well, if we do that. Oh, wow. This is all right. So your card is, you've got a theme going here and I really like it. Your card is a Sporting News All-Stars card, and it is a third baseman for the Oakland Athletics. It's Eric Chavez. Now, this is a great card because he's wearing, it's a throwback jersey day, and they've got gold pullover jerseys on and white pants with a big gold stripe down the side. I love this card.
Nice.
I also was
put that one in the collection.
A huge Eric Chavez fan.
I always loved Eric Chavez.
I think he's the bench coach with the Mets now. He was going back and forth between the Mets and the Yankees. But let's see here. First of all, you know what? I'm going to give you points right off the bat here because he's wearing a pullover because it's a turn back the clock day.
Oh, there you go.
So I'll give you 1/10 of a point there because that's just a dead sexy uniform. He also has a mustache and he's got flip downs here. So that'll be an extra 2/10 of. Before we even look, you're 3/10 of the point up.
Wow.
Let's see. Overall, 17 years in the big leagues, 13 with the good guys in the green and gold, 2 with Arizona, 2 with the Yankees, 6-time Gold Glove Award winner, and probably the first, I want to say apostle, but that's not the right word, the first disciple, there we go, of Ron Washington. and how he helped infielders. Let's see. In 2003, played in 156 games, hit 282, 350 on base, 29 home runs, 101 RBI, and a 126 OPS plus. Of course, he won a Gold Glove that year, so that'll be another half a point for you right there. Was not an all-star this year, however. And in 2003, that is good for a WAR of 5.3. Pretty good. Let's see. First round draft pick by the A's, 1996, 10th overall draft pick. All right, so that's a 6.1 for you. Now, my card is a league leaders AL runs batted in.
Uh-oh.
And there are 3 players here that I can choose from, one of which is Miguel Tejada, which I already know what his value is, and it's not going to beat a 6.1. So the other 2 players are Alex Rodriguez or Maglio Ordonez.
Wow.
I think I got to go with Alex.
Yeah, I think that's probably a better choice.
I'm sure Mags had a great year, but I mean, A-Rod is going to get you numbers from everything here. So let's see here. A-Rod, 22 years in baseball, whatever. 2003 All-Star, so that's good. Oh, MVP, Gold Glove. So I like where this is headed. Let's see here. This was with the Rangers, appeared in 161 games, hit 298, a 396 on base, led the league in slugging with 600, also led the league in runs scored and home runs with 47, 118 RBI, 17 stolen bases, and a 147 OPS plus. And overall, that is going to equal a WAR of 8.4. Now, we have to take into consideration the steroids.
The Biogenesis of America frequent flyer.
Yeah, so that will bump him down to a 7.9. Anything else we can nick him for?
I'm really thinking hard, man.
I'm sure there's plenty we could nick him for, but remember
Don't
the time
get negative points for the Madonna thing?
Well, or the J-Lo thing, or who was the WWE diva that Tori Wilson?
Tori Wilson, yes.
I mean, remember when he slapped the ball out of, I don't know if it was Tino Martinez or not.
Oh, yeah, the little girl slap.
Or no, it was someone on the Red Sox. It must have been, I think, slapped it out of their mid at first base. Or the time against the Blue Jays when he was coming into third and there was a pop-up and he started calling for it and then the third base moved away.
Screaming, I got it.
Oh, my God. Well, and then he was just suspended for an entire year. But I mean, all of this has to do with the steroids, which we've already knocked him down for. Let's see. Oh, he did make an appearance on Late Night with David Letterman in a sketch that was filmed during spring training, which featured him shirtless being rubbed down with suntan lotion. Oh, remember he was on that that famous Sports Illustrated picture with all the Yankees, and they were all without their shirts on some yacht.
Yeah. The swimsuit issue.
Yeah.
I got to step up and say he's done some pretty cool things too, as far as charity and so on. So you got to give him a little credit for that.
Yeah, I think I win this round. I think you got me. Let's see what he was. Host of the game show Back in the Game, which featured athletes and Nicole Eggert. So I'm going to give him points for that just right off the bat. Yeah. Okay. So not a good baseball player steroid wise, but there we go. All right. Next one. You want the first card or the second card? We're tied up at 1.
Let's go second card.
All right. So, you really should have gone first.
Oh.
I'll tell you why in a minute. But let's see. Your card, nothing to shake a stick at here. With the Astros, outfielder, Fat Elvis. It's Lance Berkman.
Berkman was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, he was a really good player. Let's see. 6-time All-Star, won the World Series in 2011 with the Cardinals, not with the Astros. I guess the Astros didn't win when he was there. Overall, 15 years in the big leagues, 12 with Houston, 2 with St. Louis, 1 with the Rangers, 1 with the Yankees. 2003, 153 games, hit 288, 412 on base. That's really good. 25 home runs, 93 RBI, and a 138 OPS plus. No awards that year, and that will equal a 5.3 WAR. Looking at this, he's got the goatee on, so that'll be a 10th of a point right there. And nothing else in this card is going to help you much. First round draft pick, 16th overall by the Astros. The Astros then traded into the Yankees for Mark Melancon and Jimmy Paredes.
Whoops.
Not a lot going on there.
Named one of the 30 most generous celebrities in 2012.
How do they select that? Is he a good tipper or
the most generous? Yeah, if someone follows him around,
they just calculate his tips.
I think it has to do with charities, Jeff. I really think so.
Okay. Well, we'll give him. I
don't think he gets any points for it. We just go, hey, what a good guy.
Well, he was on the 700 Club in 2007.
I don't think that's celebrity points either.
More like a puma, so I'm not sure why people call me Fat Elvis.
Like a puma. That's good.
Part of the Killer Bees, of course, with Jeff Bagwell and Craig Biggio. Was Derek Bell really part of the Killer Bees?
Nah, he just had a name that started with
I was
B.
going to say, does anybody on that team, just if they've got a B in their name, like if Bob Dugson was there, is he going to be a Killer Bee? Let's see.
Yeah, probably not.
Overall, though, we're going to give that to you a 5.4 for your card. Now, I said you should have taken the second card because it is another Sporting News All-Star card and is another Oakland Athletic. It is the lefty with the curve ball that goes from 12 to 6. It's Barry Zito. And we know I'm going to get pop culture points here because he was on The Masked Singer.
Right, yes. I've never seen it, but I remember hearing.
Yeah, I haven't either, but he was there. Cy Young Award winner, that was in 2002. Just missed it. 3-time All-Star, 2012 World Series with the Giants. Boo. 2003, good news for me, though, he was an All-Star. He went 14-12 that year with a 3.3 ERA, 231 innings pitched, 146 strikeouts, a 135 ERA plus, and all of that is going to equal a WAR of 5.3 plus the All-Star. So that'll be a 5.8 compared to your 5.4. Get the pop culture reference. So that'll be
in Jag.
Oh, okay. I think we know who the winner here is.
Yeah, that about does it. That puts him over the top for sure.
We notice whoever in the first 3 rounds, whoever has the Oakland Athletic wins the round.
This is interesting. I got to read this because in the episode of Jag on CBS, Zito's character, a pitcher, faced assault charges after hitting a Marine with a ball during the annual Navy Marine All-Star baseball game.
Jeez. This is a great case of a TV show saying, hey, we've got an actual celebrity that's going to be in this. We've got to come up with some kind of storyline to integrate them.
Think of something.
I thought you were going to say he got mad during a game and threw a ball in the stands and it hit somebody on the head. And they happened to be the general or something. I don't know.
See, we should be writing. Okay, yeah, that's all there is to it.
Really should
That's a better story.
All right. So looking at the scoreboard here, I'm up 2-1. You want card number 1 or card number 2?
Card number 2.
Oh, this is going to be, this is beauty. I've won this round. I'll just say that right now. Because by choosing card number 2, you have chosen shortstop for Cleveland, Omar Vizquel.
Oh, man. I'd like to change my pick, Alex.
Well, we're going to make it quick. We've talked about little O many times before. 24 years in the big leagues, 11 with Cleveland, 5 with Seattle, Giants for 4, a couple of other teams. 2003 with Cleveland, 64 games, 244 average, 321 on base, 2 home runs. He had 14 home runs in 2002.
What?
14 home runs. He ended up with 80 in his 24-year career. And he hit like a quarter of them in 1 year. Let's see, overall a 78 OPS plus, no awards that year. And overall that is going to be a WAR of 2.0. Nothing in this card is going to help you out at all. And so that minus half a point is going to bump you down to 1.5. I don't know if there's any pop culture stuff that we want to talk about.
Probably on the not talk about list.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about his feud with Joe Table before, Jose Mesa. And yeah, we're not going to get into Omar. I'm going to just say, screw you, Omar. And my card is none other than shortstop for the Texas Rangers. It's Alex Rodriguez.
Oh, come on.
And he's wearing sunglasses here, too. So that It gives me even more points.
So you get even more than what you got for him before. That's fair.
All right. So here we go. Next set of cards. Do you want card number 1 or card number 2?
I'm going to stick with it to the bitter end. I'm going with 2.
I like the way you're doing this because it's an easy win for me. All right. You have got shortstop here for the Expos, which I'm going to give you 1/10 of a point for being with the Expos because they got great uniforms. It is shortstop Orlando Cabrera. Okay. You've got your last 2 players have both had first names that started with O, and neither of them wore number 0.
Hey, yeah, that's weird. OCAB played for a few different teams in his career.
Played for the A's, I remember. Boy, he took a long time at the plate. That's the one thing. As somebody that works in baseball, that's the thing that sticks out most for me about Orlando Cabrera. He took like Robinson Cano-like time at the plate.
Yeah.
Let's see, 15 years in the big leagues, 8 with Montreal, 3 with the Dodgers, and then parts of seasons with a bunch of other teams. 2003 was his final full year in Montreal. Played in 162 games, hit .297, 347 on base, 17 home runs, 80 RBI, 24 stolen bases. This is a great season. He was not an all-star, received no MVP votes, a 105 OPS plus, and that is good for a WAR of 3.7. Let's see. I gave you... Oh, he's got sunglasses on as well. I gave you an extra 1/10 of a point for being in an Astros uniform. Let's see. That'll be it on the card.
It's interesting. It said this in his personal life section. He faced extra scrutiny when traveling through customs because he was Colombian and due to Colombia's reputation for drug trafficking. Now, I would like to step up and say that is absolutely true, having spent some time in Colombia.
And having spent some time in extra security screening, leaving Colombia.
When I got back from Colombia, this is like a year later, I went up to Canada and they pulled me out of the line. Hey, we're going to check out everything you got. And I'm like, is this because I went to Colombia? Oh, no, sir. No, not at all. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, I knew it.
We think you brought something back from Colombia, sat on it for a year, and now you're trying to bring it into the Great White North.
You're bringing it to Canada. Get your Colombian goods out of here, pal.
So let's see. OCAB was part of a 4-way trade. The Expos and the Red Sox. The Red Sox sent Nomar Garciaparra, remember that name, and Matt Merton to the Cubs. The Twins sent Doug Minkiewicz. Use that in a sentence.
I have.
The Cubs sent Francisco Beltran, Alex Gonzalez, hey, and Brendan Harris to the Expos, and the Cubs sent a minor leaguer to the Twins. That's a lot of names of people that we've already had in this White Specks Heroes, all in one trade there. Yeah, it doesn't look like anything else you're going to get there. So 3.9 for you. And my card, I just right there in that trade, I said to remember the name Nomar Garciaparra because that's who my card is.
No more.
Ramon, backwards, Garciaparra. 14 years in the big leagues. He also played for the A's. A lot of those going on here. Let's see. 9 years in Boston, 3 with the Dodgers, 2 with the Cubs, and just like Mike Piazza and Frank Thomas, rounds out his career in Oakland. I don't think Frank he played twice in Oakland, but I don't think it was his final year. Rookie of the Year in 1997. 2003, good news for me, he was an all-star. Also received MVP votes, 156 games played, 301 average, 345 on base, 28 home runs, 105 RBI, 19 stolen bases, and a 121 OPS plus, and that equals a WAR of 6.1. Let's see, nothing on this card is going to help me out. He is not adjusting his batting gloves or tapping his gloves at all, so... That's one thing he's got going here. First round draft pick by the Red Sox, 12th overall in 1994. I already mentioned the big 4-way trade that he was a part of. Also married to Mia Hamm. That's probably some extra points there.
Definite pop culture points, though. Appeared in 14 sketches called The Boston Teens, starring Jimmy Fallon and Rachel Dratch on Saturday Night Live.
That's right, because they would go, Noma! They would just... Yeah, that's right. He was in 14 of them, or they just mentioned him 14 times?
He was referenced in 14 sketches. Okay. That's good enough for me.
Oh, yeah, that's a pop culture reference, too. And it doesn't matter. That is an easy win for me, and that puts me up.
He got a negative, though. He minority investor in a Major League Soccer team, and that's a -1 for you.
No, it is not. I'm overruling you as the commissioner there.
What? You should get minus points for being involved in soccer. I gotta take that to the rules committee.
Well, okay, and I am it, and since I am a soccer fan,
I've fallen short.
He's a minority investor in LAFC, which won the MLS Cup. So
Right,
he's
that's
a
a
champion.
bigger negative. A good soccer team.
Oh, did we mention this? I think at one point, Nomar and his uncle Victor heard two women screaming in 2005 who had fallen into the Boston Harbor outside of his condominium.
Oh, jeez.
He jumped into the harbor and saved both women.
Wow.
So that makes up for any of your perceived soccer slander.
This. I'll give you that.
All right, 2 cards here. I'm up 4-1. You want the first or the second?
Sticking with it. Second.
Good. All right, well, we can wrap this up then. Let's see. You have got third baseman, future manager of the Brewers and Cubs. But at this point, third baseman for the Arizona Diamondbacks is Craig Counsell.
I'm probably not going to see a 10-pointer here.
Probably not. Probably one of the most imitated batting stances of the day.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a picture of him at home plate in Turner Field with me sitting right behind him, my big noggin right behind him in the camera.
No kidding. Yeah. Bonus points for me.
That's pop culture. Well, no, that's pop culture reference for me, right?
I think it goes both ways.
So it cancels it all out. All right. 16 years in the big leagues. Arizona for 6, Milwaukee for 6, Florida for 3, Colorado for 2, and the Dodgers for 1. In 2003 with the D-backs, only appeared in 89 games, hit 234, 328 on base, 3 home runs, 21 RBI, 11 stolen bases, a 61 OPS plus, and that is good for a WAR of .3. Nothing. Oh, maybe he's got some eye black on. This is taken, like, I can see the batter running from home to first. It's an interesting shot, but it's hard to see because he's so small in the background. He's got eye black on, and I'm going to say he's got flip downs as well. What the heck? That'll be a 0.5 for you from the card.
But it's not a manager card. We could get back on that ship.
You used to get those future star cards. This is a future manager card. I'm making it, so.
Gotcha.
I don't think there's a whole lot of pop culture reference that I can see easily, but it's not going to matter. I'm going to start out with a negative right away with my card, but I have got pitcher for the Yankees here, Roger Clemens.
Oh, boy, yeah.
He's got to beat a 3.9. Let's see if he can do it. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. Let's see, 24 years in the big leagues, 13 with Boston, Yankees for 6, Houston for 3, Toronto for 2. 2003, his final year on his first stint with the Yankees. He went 17-9, was an all-star, 3.91 ERA, 211 innings pitched, 190 strikeouts. This is at age 40, by the way, but clearly the juice is helping him out here. An ERA of 1.13. An ERA plus of 1.13. And overall, that is a WAR of 4.0. Uh-oh. So you ended up with a 3.9. 4.0, plus he's going to get the Mitchell report, right?
Yep.
But he was on The Simpsons.
He was also, wasn't he on the South Park? The steroids episode?
Was he? I want to say I could see him wearing those sunglasses that they put on the guys. First round draft pick, overall 19th in 1983. Blue Jays traded him to the Yankees for Homer Bush, Graham Lloyd, and David Wells. Pretty good returns there. Let's see here. What else has he done that we can talk about that is not steroid related?
A lot of women related stuff.
Yeah. Appearances as himself on TV shows Hope and Faith, Spin City, Arliss, Saturday Night Live, in the movie Anger Management, brief appearance in Kingpin, and appeared in the 1994 movie Cobb as an unidentified pitcher for the Phillies. Or no, for the A's, Philadelphia A's. Was in a baseball-themed Mythbusters episode. Pretty safe to say I win here.
I'll tell you one thing you're not going to get points for. Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's right. But I like it. I'm back on the winning track here. I mean, I was a blowout. You won the first round, and then my A's kicked in. And
it's too many picks. I got to just pick like 1 or 2 at the beginning. It's too much pressure.
All right, well, I like this format because I won.
I mean, I'm trying to follow, Rodney Dangerfield saying when he was giving the commencement speech and back to school, and he said, "Always look out for number one, but be careful not to step in number two."
All right. Can you name me his dive from that movie?
Oh man, I can't think of it. No, not enough time for this.
I was going to give you a win if you could have. It was the triple Lindy or something like that.
Oh, the triple Lindy. Yeah, that's right.
Was that really the name? Oh my gosh, I pulled Lindy. That out. I did not look that up until afterwards.
I love how when he's about to do the dive and they say, and an additional diving board is being installed for Mr. I'm like, they're just going to throw in an extra diving board in 10 minutes? That makes total sense.
Good news for me and all of my fans out there. I've won. Looking at the leaderboard is now 3-2. I've closed the gap. All right, Mark, that's going to do it for this episode of Wax Packs Hero. It's also going to do it for the episode as a whole. Thank you very much for tuning in again. This is show number 251. If you want more of us, like if you are every day wondering, can Rickey Henderson be used in today's Immaculate Grid? Tell you what, follow us on social media and you will have this stuff. And you will know if you can use Rickey Henderson in the Immaculate Grid. We are at 2 Strike Noise. That is at TWO Strike Noise on all of the social medias. And we also can be reached via email.
You guys remember that old medium, email, electronic mail? You can write to us. Spell it out, TWO Strike Noise @gmail.com.
All right, that'll do it for us. Thank you again for joining us. We will see you on the next episode of 2 Strike Noise.
Thank you. God bless you. Have a great day.